Yo, what's up guys? Zverev AO here, and this is part 4 of Djokovic versus Zverev full court level practice 2024. I'm so pumped to be here to break this down for you guys. So subscribe to the channel if you're new, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's continue. Let's get into it.
Wish I was 8 years old to give me an autograph.
That's a weird thing for this guy to say. I wish I was 8 years old so this guy could give me an autograph. That's wild. That's a crazy thing to say. Hydration, critical. So look, pay attention to Zverev's backhand here. So notice how extended his elbows are as he's turning his hips to hit the ball, right? Look at the length of his arms here, okay? And at contact, let me try to do it better there so I can show you. So as you can see there, his backhand, he keeps his elbows really extended. So one thing that you can kind of start to correct on your backhand is figure out from this point in your backhand to contact, are your arms relatively going to be in the same angle that they are, like right here, okay? Because at this point, his left elbow goes from bent to straight. And then what I'm talking about is from then on, as your hands are going from behind your left hip to going near the ball to make contact, are your elbows going to stay relatively straight or whatever angle you have set? I recommend getting them more straight though, because that's something that if you're looking on, okay, how can I kind of tweak one thing on my backhand to make it cleaner? And like you might feel like you're not striking the ball like clean, like just actually striking the ball wise, then look to get longer arms, okay? A lot of times starting with younger athletes, you might even correct the player to start with their racket pointing to the back fence with their elbows completely straight out, okay? So with younger athletes learning to strike the ball better and kind of more correctly, you're gonna want to get them to lengthen their arms that way and build those foundational habits, all right? So if you haven't experimented with that, highly recommend doing so. Zverev did a great job keeping that ball low. So Djokovic went cross-court approach shot here. Now, in general, what's the rule, right? I'm going to go cross-court if I can hit a winner. If not, I'm going to go down the line on the approach. So, look, Djokovic could have potentially won that point, but he did kind of break that rule there, right? And also, it's like you're hitting a slice. So he knew he wasn't going to hit a winner on that. But I think the equation here is maybe he's considering, wait, if I go down the line here, Zverev can just run over and then rip a forehand on the run cross-court winner. So potentially, so maybe in his mind, he's like, well, I would rather him just beat me with his backhand, which he did. However, if I'm Djokovic and I'm playing Zverev, what's going to be easier for him to execute? A stationary backhand either down the line or cross court from stationary position, or a forehand on the run. I think I would weigh the movement thing a lot with Zverev, the fact that he's kind of taller. He moves okay, right? He's fast, but he's not one of the fastest, I would say, right? Maybe doesn't have the best footwork on the tour, potentially, right? So I would factor that into the equation. So there, just like if you're Djokovic, go down the line, all right? Great job getting the ball back deep. Djokovic hit it back deep as well. You can do that. But like, is that a high percentage ball? Djokovic hit a good shot there. What I think is, if on your backhand side you have to do like a lot of movement, like you're hitting the ball where you're taking a lot of adjustment steps, kind of like on the run a little bit, my recommendation default would be open stance. Like, even if you're going to change direction, I think it's more athletic to be a little bit more open in your stance, and it will stabilize your body in a better way when you rotate. So that's what I would recommend, even if he wants to change direction there. Notice he went cross court on the swing volley because he could hit a winner. Great jump up from Zverev going into the split step. He jumped up to go down into the split step. He jumped up to go down into the split step. Pushed off the right foot, made contact, then the left foot touches the ground. Copy that for yourself on your return. Goes through his whole serve routine. Notice, he goes through his whole serve routine. He's not rushing himself, even in practice. Notice the width of Djokovic's stance. Not saying you have to do it exactly like this, but it should resemble this more so, right? His knees are apart like this. His ankles are relatively under his knees. Notice Novak Djokovic keeps his left hand on the throat of the racket until he lets go. Okay? After he lets go, he maintains his shoulders turned. Okay? And his left arm is completely parallel with the baseline. Those are checkpoints that you can also copy for yourself on your forehand to make sure that you're hitting all the right checkpoints that the ATP players are hitting. Okay guys, that's it for this video. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. If you got any value out of this video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.